Hi everyone, welcome to the Intramural Indoor Soccer Captains video. My name is Mike Whiten, Director of Intramural Sports, and today we'll be taking you through some of the things that you're going to need to know as a captain for Intramural Sports for indoor soccer.
And I'm Tommy Shore, Assistant Director of Intramural Sports at the University of Iowa. Before we get started with this video, we want to apologize in advance if there's any background noise or distractions. We are filming this amidst the fieldhouse construction, so if there's any noise that you hear, we apologize on behalf of the construction staff. So, just to introduce you to our staff a little bit, these are the folks you'll be seeing out at the game sites. These are our graduate assistants, Andy Christopher and Matt McCarthy. And we have 7 intramural supervisors that you will see from time to time on a nightly basis out at the facility when you're playing your games. If you have any questions, find somebody in a polo shirt that looks like this. They'll be able to help you out. Questions about indoor soccer or anything involved with the intramural program. The website you are familiar with by now, at least to some degree, is imleagues.com. On this website we have league announcements, is where you complete your registration. Throughout the season you can add players to your roster, find out your schedule, check out sport rules and information sheets for indoor soccer or any of our intramural sports or events. To find those, you can click on the handbooks and manuals link on the sport homepage, and throughout the season you can find updated standings and brackets as we get going with indoor soccer. Some responsibilities for you guys as team captains: make sure your teammates are eligible. We'll talk about some eligibility requirements in a second, but it's your responsibility to make sure everybody on your team is eligible. You need to make sure they know the program and sport rules and regulations. We want everybody to be following our rules and things like that, so pass along some of the information that you learned through this video. And if we need to contact your team for any reason through the IM office, we will use you as a team contact for your team. Your team roster, once you get registered and the season gets going, you can add players to your team's roster up until 10 a.m. the day of your team's quarterfinal playoff games. So throughout the regular season, if you want to add somebody to your team and throughout the first few rounds of playoffs, yeah, you can do that. The cutoff for that will be the day of your quarterfinal playoff game if you advance that far. To be guaranteed to be eligible to play in a game that night, a player must be added to your team's roster by 10 a.m. that morning. So if you play on a Monday night, 10 a.m. on Monday is the deadline to guarantee that person is on the roster for that game that night. Check imleagues.com frequently to make sure your roster is up to date. Sometimes people change jobs or drop classes or something that makes you ineligible, and when we update our database, then your teammate becomes ineligible. So frequently check the imleagues.com roster to make sure everybody on your team is eligible and we have no problems there. If you need to drop somebody from your team, you can get a roster drop request form outside of our office or online on imleagues.com or the Intramural Sports website through Rec Services. Complete that form, drop that off outside our roster drop box in E216 Fieldhouse, and we'll get that taken care of and get that player removed from your team as long as that person has not played in a game. Number of players on the field at a time for your indoor soccer game is 5. One of these players will be the goalkeeper, and that goalkeeper must wear a different color shirt than anybody else on the team. Who is eligible to play on your team? The University of Iowa students, faculty, and staff are eligible to play, and spouses or legally married partners may play on the same team as their originally eligible spouse. You can only play on one men's or women's team, so one team for this intramural indoor soccer league. Once a player enters a game on a second team, that player becomes ineligible immediately once that is discovered, and that person is ineligible for the remainder of the season. So in the unfortunate scenario in which your team has one of those, your team will forfeit any games in which that ineligible participant played. So make sure, again, you're checking your roster and you don't have anybody ineligible on your team. Intercollegiate athletes, so University of Iowa soccer players, are not eligible for participation in intramural indoor soccer. Just a fairness thing, we want intramural sports to be for non-varsity athletes. Sport club athletes, no more than 2 sport club soccer players can be on your intramural team. That includes sport club athletes or coaches. So a total of 2, whether they're an athlete or a coach, you can have a total of 2 on your roster. Check-in requirements. So your roster's all set. You've got a game that night. You get to the facility. You must present a university ID. Every player on your team must present a University of Iowa ID to check into each game. So you can go ahead and check in with the officials on your field to get checked in for that game, but you must use the University of Iowa ID. So make sure your teammates know that and are bringing their IDs to every game. No ID equals no play. There are no exceptions to this rule. You need to have that ID, so bring it with you. Remind all your players, like I said, to bring your IDs for every game. Officials will also be checking for metal cleats when they check in players on the score sheet with their IDs. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but metal cleats are prohibited in our indoor soccer league. Anyone using a fake ID or using someone else's ID, misusing the university ID in any way, is subject to suspension from Intramural Sports. We'll have a meeting with the administrative staff and we'll determine what the length of that suspension will be. And we'll also pass along those incidents to the Dean of Students office for further sanctions if they decide those are necessary. When you're out there participating, we want sportsmanship to be a key of our program, so we expect all participants to display good sportsmanship. Our officials will handle situations in which good sportsmanship is not being displayed, but we want those to be few and far between. Any participant who participates in a fight will be suspended from all recreational services activities for 1 calendar year. Not just 1 school year, 1 calendar year. And again, we will pass those along to the Dean of Students office for further university sanctions. If a player on your team is ejected, that player is required to meet with the Intramural administrative staff, and you as a team captain are also required to be a part of that meeting. So if you get a player, if someone on your team gets ejected, you can expect some communication from the administrative staff in the Intramural Sports office to set up a meeting time and things like that. Both the captain and the ejected player are ineligible to participate until after that meeting. If things go well at the meeting, the captain will be reinstated immediately, and the ejected participant will be suspended at least 1 additional game. Again, sportsmanship is a key of our program. Our officials will be rating the teams based on their sportsmanship. Each team will start at a 2.5, and you can either move up to a 2 or a 1, which 2 is above average, 1 is great, or you can move down to a 3 and a 4, which is not real good. Teams receiving a 3 will receive an email from the administrative staff. Teams receiving a 4, the captain will be required to have a meeting with the administrative staff to talk about what's going on, what we can do better, things to improve your sportsmanship. Teams must maintain a 2.5 or better sportsmanship average to be eligible for playoff participation. So if your team isn't behaving themselves out there and acting unsportsmanlike, you run the risk, despite your win-loss record, of not being able to make the playoffs. Games are officiated by student intramural officials. They're your peers, so you need to treat with them respect. They are trained by the intramural sports staff, that's us, and those graduate assistants and supervisors that you saw pictured there. We do all the training, so please treat these officials with the respect that you expect to get as a player out there competing in intramural sports. Forfeits: teams not ready to participate within 10 minutes of the scheduled game time will forfeit. Teams that do forfeit will be fined half the registration fee for indoor soccer. That's $22.50. This will be charged to the team captain's U-bill. We do this to try and limit the number of forfeits we have in our intramural sports league, because there's nothing more frustrating than having officials and an opponent out there and one of the teams doesn't show up. So make sure that you're showing up for your games so that you don't get fined this forfeit fine. If you do get fined for not showing up, you have a chance to receive a refund if you show up for the rest of your games for the remainder of the season. Now, in order to avoid a forfeit, you can default. To default, you must contact the Intramural Sports office by noon the day of your game to tell us that you will not be able to make it for your game. So this gives us a chance to alert the officials, alert the opponents that they don't have to show up, so we're not wasting other people's time because you guys can't make it. So if you can give us a heads up, we'll put you down for a default. First time you default, thank you for calling us, letting us know. No penalty. Take care of whatever you need to take care of that night. Second default, the team captain will be assessed a default fine of 25% of the registration fee. And if a team defaults the third time, captain will be fined 50% of the registration fee on top of that 25% that is already fined. The reason for this, again, we want teams showing up. We don't want teams defaulting all the time. So we gave you one freebie, but then we need you showing up for all games after that. Again, declared by noon to our graduate assistant, Matt McCarthy. Protest. If something happens during the game that you want to protest, you can protest a misinterpretation or misapplication of a rule. No judgment calls can be protested. So if the official awards a direct kick and it should be an indirect kick, and you know it should be an indirect kick and you want to protest this, you can use your protest timeout, and at that time bring a sports supervisor over. You must call that timeout immediately, bring that sports supervisor over. That supervisor will give a ruling. If you still don't agree with that ruling, you can fill out a protest form and you can submit $5 the next business day by noon, and the director of intramural sports and myself will look at the situation and give a final ruling. If your protest is upheld, you will get that $5 back and we will go back to that point in the game. If your protest is not upheld, we will keep that $5 and the game will stand as it happened at the game site. T-shirt policy. To differentiate between the teams, we need teams wearing different colored t-shirts. So your team must bring matching light colored shirts and matching dark colored shirts for every game. That way each team will have light colored and each team will have dark colored, and then there will be no confusion with who's who out there on the playing field. The exception for this is the goalkeeper. They need to be a different color than everybody else out there on the field for obvious reasons, being able to differentiate who gets those special rules for being the goalkeeper. So again, bring 2 different colored shirts for every game. Team schedules will be posted on ironleagues.com by Friday, January 25th. Once the registration is complete and we get all those things taken care of, we will get those schedules made and posted. And games will begin on Monday, January 28th, so it's coming up pretty quick. Once we get going, like we talked about, league standings will be posted on the intramural bulletin boards outside our office in the E216 Fieldhouse. If you're ever around, you can check it out. There will also be posted on ironleagues.com that you can check anytime you're at a computer or whenever you want to check that. And the top 2 teams of each 3-team division will qualify for the single elimination playoffs at the end of the season. Games will be played at the new indoor practice facility over by Kinnick Stadium. Games will be on Monday and Wednesday nights. To get there, you can go over to the Kinnick Stadium area. You can park in the lot west of Kinnick Stadium, or you can park in the lot west of the recreation building. After 4:30 on weekdays, those lots are free to park in, so you can park in those to get into the facility. So you park, you need to walk north until you get close to the baseball field. There's a set of doors to get into this facility on the northeast side of the facility, closest to the baseball field, and that's where you will enter for indoor soccer games. Some facility regulations. As most of you know, this facility is brand new. This is managed by both athletics and recreational services. So for intramural participants, we need a lot of your help to keep this facility nice, or we will lose access to this facility and we won't be able to host near as many indoor soccer teams. So please help us keep this facility in good shape. No food or drink besides bottled water can be brought into the facility. This is no leniency policy. Our supervisors, the officials, the facility supervisor there will be enforcing this rule pretty strictly. And again, no metal cleats when you're participating in intramural indoor soccer, both for facility purposes and for safety purposes in our program. Now, Mike Wyden, Director of Intramural Sports, is going to come take you through some of the game rules and the rest of the slideshow.
Thanks, Tommy. A couple of the game rules we want to start off with is for indoor soccer, we have 20-minute halves. They are running clock, and we do not count injury time. We have a 5-minute halftime. In the last minute of the game, the last minute of both halves, the clock is going to stop on all fouls, violations, or any other kind of dead balls that we need to stop. So for that last minute, we'll have that stop clock rule in there. We do have a mercy rule in place. That's 8 goals or more with 10 minutes or less remaining in the game. And then, as we talked about before, there's 5 players on the field at any one time, and one of those 5 will be the goalkeeper. But there is no maximum number on your team. Some jewelry rules that we have in place for almost every single intramural sport. We do not allow jewelry to be worn during intramural activities. So all jewelry must be removed prior to you participating in that game. And those jewelry rules that we have in there is any visible piercings, rings, necklaces, any bracelets, the Livestrong bracelets, rubber bands, all those are considered jewelry. So if you're caught with those playing the game, you'll be asked to sub out and somebody else will have to sub in for you. So make sure you take care of all that stuff prior to participation. We'll start each game with a coin toss or rock, paper, scissors, some method of determining a winner or loser. But the team winning the coin toss will choose which goal it will defend for the first half. The team that loses the coin toss will then kick off in the first half, and then in the second half you'll switch sides, and the winner of the original coin toss, they'll get to kick off in the second half. Our substitution rule for our indoor soccer matches: all substitutions must be made in the substitution zone, which is 3 yards on either side of the midline. And they can only be done during dead ball periods. So when the ball is dead, after it goes out of bounds, after a goal is scored, after a foul is called, you should be waiting in that substitution zone, and then just get the attention of the official, let them know you want to sub in, and you do that during a dead ball period. There is no live ball on the fly substitutions for indoor soccer. Ball out of bounds. When it goes out of bounds on a sideline, we're going to result in a throw-in at that spot by the team that's not last to touch the ball. If it goes out of bounds on the end line, it's going to result in a goal clearance throw by the goalkeeper if it's last touched by the attacking team. If it's last touched by the defending team, we're going to go to a corner kick, which is a direct kick for that attacking team. Some notes on the goal clearance throw. When the goalie is awarded this goal clearance throw, it has to be a throw. It is not a kick. So the goalkeeper has to throw that from his or her own penalty area. The ball must touch the ground or another player on that goalkeeper's half of the field. So they cannot throw it past the midline and have it touch someone on the other side of the midline. So it's got to touch somebody on his or her half of the field when they throw it. Some fouls and misconduct. We have direct and indirect fouls. Some of the direct fouls are listed here. We're not going to go through all of them, but basically these are all the contact fouls. They're going to result in a direct free kick. So anytime you're making contact, slide tackling is an example, so those are illegal. You cannot slide tackle in indoor soccer. So if that happens, that's going to result in a direct free kick, or anything else you see on this list, or any type of contact penalty that the officials call will result in a direct free kick. These are the indirect free kick fouls, and again, these are examples, but not limited to just to these lists. But anything like playing in a dangerous manner, charging the goalkeeper, some illegal substitutions, all those result in indirect free kicks, which means obviously the ball cannot score without being touched by somebody else. Our officials will have yellow cards and red cards, just like the soccer you've normally played. Some yellow cards, examples are substitution violations. You'll receive a yellow card for doing that. Persistent infringement, anytime that happens, we're going to give you a yellow card there. Any type of arguing or unsportsmanlike conduct that's not egregious will probably result in a yellow card, and that'll be a caution. Then if we get to an egregious offense, you'll be receiving a red card. Some examples of red cards are serious foul play, so intent to injure, those type of things. Violent conduct or fighting is an automatic red card. Persistent fouling or persistent abusive language toward the officials, or a second yellow card offense results in a red card. And those red cards equal ejection. And you'll see once that happens, if somebody on your team is given a red card, there'll be a 10-minute period where your team will have to play down a player. And that's regardless of the number of goals that are scored. So if somebody on your team gets a red card, they're out for 10 minutes. You have to play 5-on-4 for 10 minutes, regardless of the number of goals that are scored. And a team will automatically default to game if more than one player is ejected from that same game. So if you get 2 people with a red card, the game is automatically over. You defaulted that game because of your unsportsmanlike conduct on that team. So please talk to your teammates about that as captains and stress the importance of sportsmanship that we have. When we get to an overtime period, we're going to play a golden goal 5-minute overtime period. Then if the game remains tied after that 5-minute golden goal, or sudden death if you want to call it that, after that, if it's over, no one scores, then we're going to go to a shootout. And in that shootout, we're going to have 5 kicks by any 5 players, alternating, 1 and 1 from each team. And then after those 5 kicks, if it's still tied, then we're going to go 1 kick by each team until we break that tie. So that's how the tie will work out after that golden goal 5-minute period. Some other notes about intramural sports is we do have the Buffalo Wild Wings Intramural Sports Championship. If you've played other sports, you probably are aware of this already. But we award points in each sport based upon the finishing order of your team and how you do in the regular season and playoffs. And we keep track of those points based upon your team name. And that team name must be the same throughout multiple sports. So if you were called the Hawkeyes in flag football or volleyball or any other fall sport, call your same team the Hawkeyes again, and you'll be getting those points awarded to your team for this Buffalo Wild Wings championship. We're going to award a championship in the men's, the women's, the co-rec, the fraternity, and a sorority division. In each one of those, the winner will receive a championship trophy and a $100 gift card for your team to go use for food down at Buffalo Wild Wings. So it's a great way to participate in a lot of events and get rewarded for that based upon your participation and your finishing order. Another program we want to talk to you about is a program that we share with the Division of Student Life and Student Health. It's called the E-Chug program. It's basically an online confidential alcohol assessment. It's a way that you can help become a little more informed about your alcohol use and get you informed about that. We give you an incentive to do that with intramural sports. If your indoor soccer team has 75% of the players on the final team roster complete this assessment, you'll get a refund of your entry fee. So basically you'll get to play the season for free if you can get 75% of your players to take this. So details about how to get started with that are located on our intramural sports website and on imleagues.com. A couple meetings we want to talk to you about as team captains that you'll need to be aware of is the first one is our free agent meeting. Will be held on Wednesday, January 23rd at 2:00 p.m. in room 201 of the field house. And this meeting we advertise for anybody that doesn't have a team that wants to play soccer and maybe they don't know enough people, and so they come to this free agent meeting, and you as a team captain can come and see if maybe you need 1 or 2 more players to play on your team, and then you can get in touch with those people at that meeting. So if you're looking for more players, you can come to this meeting on the 23rd at 2 p.m. in 201 of the field house and meet some players that are maybe looking to join a team. Another meeting that we want to inform you about is our wait list meeting. So if you're watching this video and then get your team signed up and you find out that the Monday and Wednesday sections are full, we do encourage you to still continue through with registration, get into the wait list group and come to this wait list meeting on the 24th. That way, if someone doesn't fulfill their requirements that they need to do, and there's an open spot, or maybe we can open up another section or something like that, we'll announce that at our Wednesday meeting, the 24th of January at 2:00. Also want to announce our officials training. We are looking for soccer officials, so if you have any soccer officiating experience or playing experience and you're looking for maybe a campus job, we're looking for you to help referee our intramural soccer matches. That training takes place on Thursday, January 24th at 6:30 p.m. in room 201 of the field house. And we provide all the training, so even if you've never officiated but you've played soccer, you can come learn the mechanics and learn the rules, and we can go through that all with you. But just come to that meeting on the 24th and we'll get you all set up. So kind of to sum up a little bit about what's required for you as a team captain to get your team registered. You're required to pass the captain's quiz, so hopefully this video has been able to help you answer some questions on that captain's quiz, and that's available on imleagues.com. Then once you've passed the quiz, you need to get the minimum number of players required for indoor soccer. Then after that, you'll pay the registration fee. Do that through the website. You'll select the day that you want to play in. And then all this has to be done by 8 a.m. on Thursday, January 24th in order to be in our indoor soccer league. So to wrap up, if you have any questions about anything we've covered today or anything maybe that we didn't cover that you'd like an answer to, you can contact us in a couple of different ways. Our phone number is 319-335-9292, or you can always email us at intramural-sports@uiowa.edu. So thank you for your time and attention, and good luck to everyone during this intramural soccer season.